What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 90 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast. My name is Dave Kindle. I'm here with my two brothers, Christian and Matt, to discuss stories from around the soccer world. We are also joined by our friend, Drew Deal. Drew, say hello so YouTube viewers can get a look at your face.
Hello.
There he is. He is a Villa fan, as you can tell from his outfit there. And yeah, excited to have him on. If you are, Christian, sorry, before I get into it, Christian, why don't you say hello so people know what you look like?
Hello.
There you go. There's Christian. He's looking dark and mysterious right now with the lighting.
Always.
Matt, say hello.
Hello.
There's Matt as well. If you are following
Up close
us,
and personal.
yeah, Matt's up close and personal as always. If you're following us live on YouTube, please feel free to interact with us. We got the chat feature up as we go along here. Say hello. If you got anything you want us to talk about, if you have thoughts on anything we're talking about, love to hear from you. Okay, with that, I think we're ready to just jump into the podcast. You guys ready?
Okay.
I'm so ready, Dave. Let's get going.
Okay. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 90 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast. My name is Dave Knittel, and I am here with my two brothers, Christian and Matt, to discuss stories from around the soccer world. We are also joined by our friend, Andrew Deal. Andrew, how are you doing today?
Doing all right. How about you?
Doing well, thank you very much. We're excited to have you on here. You're a Villa fan?
Yeah, a bit of a Villa fan. Still trying to deal with the championships, but we'll figure it out and get back to the Prem.
Yeah, all right. Head held high. You'll be back soon enough. Christian, how are you doing?
Dave, if I were any better, I couldn't stand it.
Okay. You said that a little bit weirdly.
I did, because they're making a lot of noise upstairs, and I got distracted, but I hope everyone can't hear that on here. You can't, right?
Nope, we cannot. Yeah,
Okay.
Mom and Dad, yeah, we cannot hear. The dogs or who's ever making the noise, we cannot hear. Matt, how are you doing?
Doing great, Dave. Thanks for asking. I miss, the Premier League. Not the biggest fan of international break, but football is back this weekend, and Penn State college football went well, so I'm excited about that.
That is fantastic. Christian, do you have a trivia question for us this week?
I do, Dave. Thanks for asking right as I took a drink. I appreciate that. My trivia question is, how many... Okay, so actually I'm going to phrase it this way. I changed it up. I was going to ask it a different way, but I changed it up mid-thought. So there were 19 passes scored in the goal against Barcelona last week. When is the last time that many passes were scored in a build-up in a game against Barcelona?
Okay. All right. Interesting stuff. Matthew, I'm going to pass it off to you now for Matt's time here. You want to take us away?
Yeah, well, thanks, Dave. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Matt's, time here on this podcast. Yeah, so this week, Neymar was made permanent captain of Brazil's national team, and it's been a couple of years since they had a permanent captain. I'm not sure exactly how long. Christian, I'll start with you. How do you think this is the appropriate next step, considering Neymar's World Cup that he just had?
Well, I'm honored that I get to go first, so I want to throw that out there. Second, I think this is probably the right choice. I don't really like him as a person, but he is the star of their team, and he is their leader on the field. Not that his antics are really what people should be following, but he is world-class in his ability, and he just leads by example in terms of just actually creating something on a given day or at a given moment when his team needs them to. I don't know if he's really a vocal leader. I don't really know what happens in the locker room, but I think Thiago Silva was probably more built for that role, but Neymar is the future still of that team. What is he, 26 or 27 still? He still has a whole other cycle, maybe another one after that too, so it kind of makes sense to me.
Okay. Dave, how about you?
Yeah, he doesn't strike me as the stereotypical type of leader, but I believe he was captain before Chiche came in, and Chiche implemented that whole rotating captaincy thing, which was weird in and of itself. And so I like that he's making a decision to appoint a captain. Neymar isn't the one that I necessarily would have picked, but I like that he's at least taking a stand and appointing just a set captain for the national team.
Yeah. Okay. Andrew?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, for Neymar, I think he's a good fit for it. I mean, he's definitely the leader of the team in some respects. I think if he can tidy up his antics a little bit on the field, I think that long term it's definitely the right call. Going off with Thiago Silva, I think part of the reason maybe why they didn't go with him is like maybe like a permanent captain for a couple years just due to his age. With World Cup coming up in 2022, he's going to be I think like 36 at that point. So I mean, he probably wouldn't even be involved with that team at that point. So bringing Neymar in would definitely be more of the solid pick going forward.
Okay, for me, I don't see Neymar as that captain type at the club level, but I think with like the Brazilians and how they view him, I feel like he is that leader type for the Brazilian national team and how everyone looks, towards him. And I feel like he doesn't have a problem with any of the Brazilians in the team, whereas at the club level, maybe he has like these problems with Cavani, or going forward, maybe something will happen with Mbappe. But I think for Brazil, this makes perfect sense going forward. Do you guys have Dave, what's up?
Yeah, no, I think a lot of times you'll hear behind the scenes players say that Neymar isn't the guy that the public thinks he is. He's not this selfish person. He doesn't do a lot of the antics that we all see. And so a lot of his teammates do speak highly of him. And so again, the public perception maybe is different than how he is in the locker room and how he is with his teammates. So maybe he does deserve to be captain from that perspective.
Okay. And do you guys, or I'll start with Christian again, do you think, the captain on the field, especially at the national level, do you think it matters significantly about who's captain?
I think it depends on who you ask. I think there are people who feel as though they should be the captain and it will affect their relationship with other people on the team. But I don't think it should matter. I think that it's an honor if you have it, but if you don't, keep playing exactly how you would if you were the captain. Be the leader, be the voice of the team. It doesn't really matter what your role is. It's what you do with the opportunities you're presented with.
Okay.
Life lessons for everybody who's listening here.
Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think it's important to have other leaders in your team, whether they have the designation of captain or not. It's important to just have other guys that behave as though they are leaders and captains. We saw it with England and Jordan Henderson. He wasn't necessarily the captain, but he behaved as a leader on the pitch. And so if you have other players like that in the team, I think that is really important.
Who was their captain?
Harry Kane.
Oh yeah. Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's kind of hit all the points at this point with Neymar. I mean, it's I think, you look at the team that you even have. I mean, you have Roberto Firmino, Costa, Casemiro, Alisson. I mean, there's not really one in particular person you can maybe name that you would see as another captain option.
Alisson and Firmino sound pretty good to me.
I mean,
yeah.
Okay, coming from a Liverpool fan.
I mean, I could see maybe Alisson just because most times you see maybe a goalkeeper being it. I mean, I noticed that Firmino's kind of more, even when he's playing for Liverpool, it's kind of that he's the supporting cast essentially. So I mean, he's not going to be the one to be the voice as a leader. He might be the one like Dave said in the locker room or something. But I mean, out of all of them, Neymar really does kind of fit that bill the best.
Yeah, I think I agree with pretty much all the points you guys made. All right, moving on. Do you guys have anything else to add or no?
Nope, go ahead.
Okay. All right, moving on. This week in an interview, I don't know what day of the week this was, but Unai Emery, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it.
Sure.
Something like that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Unai Emery, yep.
Unai, okay. Arsenal's manager, he said in an interview that Arsenal are 2 transfer windows away from getting to where they need to be. Dave, do you think that coaches saying this is them protecting their own ass, or do you think he makes a good point with saying they need to?
Well, I think it's both, to be honest. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. You were breaking up a little bit. I thought you were done. I think it's a little bit of both. I think for whatever reason, this seems to be the standard that most pundits and people are saying. It's 3 transfer windows. And so at a certain point, it's if everybody says it, I mean, maybe there's a bit of truth to it. There's a huge change that happens when you bring in a new manager. He's got different tactics. He likes different players in the way that they play, and you're not going to be able to overhaul a roster in just one transfer window. So I think it's legit that a new manager is going to need 2 or 3 windows, which is why I am always a huge proponent of having a manager around for multiple years and giving him time. So that's kind of where I stand on all of that.
Okay. Drew?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the squad that they have now, I mean, it's a very good, talented team. I normally takes at least 2-3 transfers for you to at least get some of the players that you want that meet your tactical style, the formation, and even on and off the field. I mean, sometimes you're just looking for that one guy that's going to be the leader on the squad. I don't necessarily think they need a lot of windows with the team that they have. I think they just have to find the right positions for some of them. I mean, looking at against Cardiff, I think Lacazette did a really good job coming in. I still think though that Mkhitaryan should have taken Ozil's spot. Watching Ozil, he's looked pathetic in my eyes going forward. So it's kind of an imbalance to see which way it's going to go. I don't really see any spots that they need to plug. It's just more or less finding players that meet their needs.
Christian?
I think there are a lot of spots that need to be plugged on that squad. I really just don't rate Arsenal highly right now. I don't really know if their coach is going to be good, but you do have to give him time. I think he has a point in what he's saying. But I also think that he's saying it for selfish reasons. He is saying it to protect himself from the inevitable media backlash that he's going to receive when they finish 6th or 7th this year, because I can't see them finishing any higher than any of the other top 6. And you never know what the other teams are going to do around them in Everton and Wolves and those types of teams that are really challenging right now. And Watford, look at Watford up there.
It's crazy that you're mentioning all those teams in with Arsenal. That's just a sign of just.
Yeah, but that is kind of where they are right now.
I know.
So, I mean, as a Liverpool fan, we went through it too. So it is what it is. And Arsenal just seem to have dropped off a level. They have a lot of talented players, but they're not really fitting in with each other, right? And they do have to definitely improve, especially defensively. They just seem like a mess.
I think defensively, all they need to do is just get rid of Shag. I mean, he's played absolutely horrible.
They have the other goalie on the bench.
Yeah, Ronaldo. I mean, I don't know. I think he should be the starting keeper going forward after this international break. I think everybody
kind of agrees with that. I don't really accept Unai.
Yeah. So I actually kind of agree more with Andrew. I think, the players that Arsenal has, I don't think they need necessarily, 2 more windows. I think they have a bunch of world-class players in some respects that just aren't performing. I mean, Aubameyang and Lacazette were 2 of the most sought-after strikers. They're 2 of the most prolific strikers in the world. I mean, Ozil, I don't know what's going on with him recently, but he's still one of, the best players of the last 5 years, you would say. So him defensively, I mean, Bellerin's been all over with his form, and their center backs, they have all played at high levels. It's just, I don't know why it's just not working out.
They're missing their leader and best center back probably in Koscielny.
I would agree to that.
Yeah, that's true. So I think they have the players. I think it's just it's just weird that, Emery's choosing to say this squad isn't good enough. They need 2 more windows when I think he just needs, maybe 1 more, maybe just the December transfer window or January.
Yeah, but you don't really get to do your business in January the way you would want to.
Yeah.
The way that you do in the summer. So I think he was kind of saying, I need next summer as well, is what he was saying.
Yeah. Liverpool did it in the transfer window last year and made it work.
Yeah, but Liverpool are the best team on earth, so it's hard to compare.
Beg to differ on that one, but we'll leave it go from a Liverpool fan. No, I mean, it won't take too long. I don't think.
Oh, we fell down again. Sorry.
I don't think it'll take too long for them to figure it out. I think once they just plug a few holes and he picks the right leaders on it, and I think the formation that he's trying to build around it, you just got to plug the right players in the right spots, and it's probably going to take a couple games till he figures it out. But I mean, they did have tough fixtures to start, and they did have City and Chelsea to start the season. So I mean, it's kind of hard when you're new manager trying to figure out who to play. You go up against top tier players in the league. So
I have never seen Dave actually lag out of this.
Yeah. This is the first.
So
he's the one actually running it, so I don't really know how this works.
Oh
Yeah,
boy,
well, we're still live, so we're gonna.
It says
pretend
live, but are we?
Yeah, I don't know.
good
How
question.
you guys doing?
Doing
You know,
okay.
just
It's
living
running.
that. It's great.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll have some filler
Do
here.
you have any other topics you got over there?
Yeah, we'll just wait for Dave to come back.
No.
I guess.
Good here.
I think that's the only thing. Wait, so Christian, can you invite him again?
Yeah. Well, he invites us. I can't invite him. I don't think. I can't. Yeah, we can't. We don't have that access.
Well,
Here, let me call
that's
him.
problematic. Okay. Yeah, that's the first time that's ever happened.
Andrew, you're bad luck.
Yeah.
Oh, it must be the jersey.
Yeah. How's Villa doing so far in the championship this year?
Not too bad. Looks like Dave's trying to reconnect here. Yeah, I mean, I think that Jack Grealish probably is going to make or break the team going forward, but we'll see what happens on that. I think they made a bunch of loan signings, which is smart because, I mean, technically, I think it's the best way forward. Makes sense. I mean, especially when you're in a championship, you could just do, which it seems to be a lot of teams, like even Wolves did last year. It's just that loan to buy target. That way, then you don't keep them on the books, but if you do promote or you think that you really like them, then you can add them in.
Yeah. Dave, you back?
David.
Hello.
And the microphone's still down.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Wow. How unprofessional of him.
This is Dave's podcast, and he can't even do it right.
Right.
Bye-bye.
And he left.
Yeah.
Idiot. Oh, this is good YouTube content.
Yeah, this was great. This was
I was
really
just
fun,
sitting
guys.
around.
Let's just leave.
Oh, there he is. He joined his Bros Talking Soccer.
There
All
he
right.
is.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was talking when I was. Could you guys hear me at all?
Not even a little bit.
Yeah, I
no.
couldn't hear you either. Okay.
Oh man, I said some good stuff. You'll hear it on the YouTube channel later. It's gonna be great.
Great. Terribly sorry about that. Did you guys finish up the segment?
Yeah,
no.
Not really.
Kind of.
I'll just say, do you guys have
Matt,
anything?
just
I don't
finish
know
it
where
off.
Oh yeah, I'll just say, do you guys have anything else to add? And then.
And we won't.
Okay.
All right. All right. Do you guys have anything else to add on this topic?
No, I don't think so.
No,
I think we're good.
All right.
No.
Well, that concludes Matt's time here on this podcast. Thank you for joining us. You'll hear some music, and we'll be right back.
All right. Good stuff.
Oh my God, he's
sorry.
like, thanks for joining me.
Yeah.
Hey,
That was
thanks for
great.
being here.
All right, cool. We got a question. Will, thanks for joining here. He's got a question more for. So, Andrew, do you go by Andrew or Drew?
I go by Drew. But
Drew? Okay.
Both.
All right. I just wanted to make sure I was calling you by the right name.
It doesn't matter to me. I'll take either.
Was
All
that
right.
the question?
Yep,
Yeah,
that was the question.
that was the
No,
question.
we have a question from Will, from our friend at Tottenham Hotspur World. He said, were you impressed with Josh Onuma last season during his time on loan at Villa?
Well, unfortunately, not being able to watch it frequently, considering we won't say the proper ways of watching games that you can't see in America. But other games I did see, I wasn't overly impressed. I think there's a reason why he didn't come back on loan to Aston Villa. I know that some people really rate him highly, but I just have a couple reservations about his play style. I think something about him just needs to mature a little bit. I don't think Steve Bruce is the right manager for him. I think there are a few other managers out there, maybe in the Championship, that would make him better. But Steve Bruce has a certain play style that I think Josh really would prefer to be more forward. I think if there was more of a 4-3-3 formation or like a 4-2-3-1, I think it would build a lot better for him.
All right, cool. Will, hopefully that answers your question. If you got any other thoughts, please let us know. Drew, thanks for your thoughts there. Is Ma getting in on the podcast? Christian's not thrilled with that. All right, while that's happening, let me give a quick plug for our partner, Stadium Scene. Hey, what's up, everybody? Wanted to give a quick plug here for our partner, StadiumScene.tv. If you are going to a stadium in the US or Canada, you want to visit StadiumScene.tv. They have reviews and recommendations on where to park, what bars and restaurants to check out before you go to a stadium, how to get to the stadium. In addition to that, they partner with content creators like us at Bros Talking Soccer. They have all different kinds of other content on there as well, producing blog posts, YouTube videos, podcasts, and so on and so forth across all different sports. So please go check out StadiumScene.tv. They're a longtime partner of us, and we love those guys over there. Okay, that was my little plug there. Good stuff. And I think we're ready to get back into it. Christian, is Ma done talking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shut it down.
Shut it down. All right, cool. All right, we ready to go to you? You ready for Christian's Corner?
Yeah, I am so ready.
Okay, that's fantastic. All right, timer is started. Go ahead. Welcome us back.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're ready for Christian's Corner because it's about to start. It's going down. All right, so we're going to start this part with a little bit about the best player on earth who's getting snubbed for the best player on earth award. What's happening? Messi isn't in the final three for the best player of the FIFA award. I don't actually know what it's called. I think it's FIFA's best player in the world.
The best? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. They split the Ballon d'Or. It used to be combined, and now it's separate. So I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, final three are Ronaldo, Modric, and I already forget who the other one was. Oh my God, Salah, I know him. Yeah, so I have a lot of thoughts on this, but let's start with you, Matt, because you let me start. I'll go to you. What do you think about Messi's exclusion in this final three?
I think for him not making it, it's stupid because he's pretty much known as the best player. And even if you have, Ronaldo there or you can bring a Modric, he's still a top three. He should be there at the awards. I think Modric is going to end up taking it because of how he did at both throughout the club season and then the World Cup, which is valued so highly in World Cup years. So for what they take into account for who's won the award the last couple of years, it makes sense that Messi's not on it though, because he didn't really. I mean, he won the league and they won Copa del Rey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they value the Champions League so much, and the World Cup performance wasn't great. So, I mean, I can understand that they're being consistent with all they care about is what team won the big trophies. So, in that sense, I somewhat understand.
All right. Understood. Dave, please, let's hear what you have to say on this.
Okay, thank you. For me, it's frustrating. I get that they're being consistent with all of this, but it's still frustrating that it seems like Champions League is kind of the only thing that's playing a big role here. Yes, the World Cup as well. Messi created the most goals, combined assists and goals scored, by far of any player in Europe. They won the double. They won the domestic double, Copa del Rey, and the league title. For me, I mean, he's no doubt, hands down, should be there. And on top of it, I know I've harped this in the past, and I'm going to give another plug for Varane. I think Varane has a really good shout to be here as well, leading France to the World Cup and, Real Madrid to the Champions League. So he's another one that I thought, may have, deserves mention here, but Messi absolutely 100% should be here.
Yeah, I agree, but I'll go to Drew. Drew, we're going to go with Drew.
Okay. A lot of people.
We'll go to Drew for his thoughts before I get mine.
Yeah, I would say Messi deserves it. It's a tricky situation because if you look at the three finalists, you can see based on maybe how they do the voting or how they determine it. It seems like there's a lot of weight into what they've achieved in league and then also internationally too. And I mean, you look at Mo Salah versus Messi even. I mean, Mo Salah had a fabulous season. Can't take that away from him whatsoever. But I mean, the only thing that he was able to do that was different from Messi was just be able to make it to the final of the Champions League. Didn't win anything domestically. Didn't do anything really internationally because Egypt just kind of flopped heavily. So, I mean, I could see Messi taking his place. Do I think Messi's going to win it, even if he would have been placed in the top three? No, just because I think, again, they base it a lot on what they've won, which I think puts Luka Modric on top right there. But, I mean, Ronaldo's going to be there every time just because I think they just kind of shag a little bit too much with that. But it is what it is.
Did you say Shag a
You
bit
said
too
Shag, yeah.
Shag, yeah.
Did,
Oh, yeah.
All right, we have a podcast
use a good
episode.
term.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So my thoughts here are it's absolutely absurd. I don't know how you can just completely disregard consistency. It's absurd. Messi is the most consistent player in the world. He always shows up. Yes, for Argentina, he wasn't the same player he was for Barcelona, but he's marked even more for Argentina because they know the other players around him aren't going to do anything. It's insane to me. And they kind of are saying La Liga isn't high enough of a competition, so disregard it. Copa del Rey doesn't matter. Disregard. Like, that's what it looks like from this point of view. And that's just ridiculous because winning the league is very, very difficult if you look around. And I know in La Liga it's easier than, say, the Premier League. But it's still, you're up against two of the best 8 teams in the world probably. And it's incredibly challenging to win. And it seems like they are just disregarding that. It's the best player from a double winning team for Madrid. They have 2 people in there who, yeah, okay, I understand they won the Champions League. Cool. They do it every year. So what's the point? Who cares? It doesn't matter anymore. The Champions League is irrelevant now because it's the same team every year.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, you bring up 2 things that I forgot to mention. Messi's almost a victim of his own just consistency and success. The fact that he had the most goals and assists combined, like it just doesn't even register there. And so, I think you're spot on that he's just so consistent that you almost just forget that he's amazing. Then on top of it, La Liga, yes, is dominated by Barcelona and Real Madrid, but it still has the highest coefficient in all of the European leagues. La Liga teams, whether it's Europa League or Champions League, dominate. And it's not just Barca and Real. Atletico does very well. Sevilla does well in the Europa League. And so it shouldn't be discounted how good of a league La Liga is. And I feel like it is being discounted there. So those are good points to bring up as well, Christian.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
I was going to say this. Say like the same thing with like I think La Liga is like a really hard league, and you were saying how like the Premier League might be harder, but for some teams, the Premier League is not that hard. Yeah.
Who are you talking about, Matt?
Hey, Man City.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Also, but seriously, I think Griezmann and Mbappe should have had like pretty solid claims at this as well. Maybe not as much Mbappe, even though he won because. He's definitely not the best player at PSG, especially last year. But I think Griezmann should have had a pretty good shout to be a finalist.
And they may have, and we don't really know. I agree with Dave. Varane probably should have been in the final 3. I think that he was immense in the past year. But this, again, proves they don't really care about anyone other than the players that contribute to the goals.
Well, I mean, I think Paris could get a nice bit of honorable mention for Modric or Ronaldo if they win it.
I don't want to address that comment. So, anyone else have anything to add on this?
No.
Nope.
Good. All right. So, my other topic I wanted to discuss this week, Red Star Belgrade. Is that how we pronounce it? Anybody know?
Yes.
It is? Okay. You're just guessing, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. They are in the Champions League group with Liverpool, Napoli, and PSG this year. They have a 2 away match fan ban. Sorry, that was a really weird way to say that. So let me restart that. They have a ban placed on them where for their first 2 away matches in the Champions League group stage, they will not be allowed to bring their fans. Good? Was that better?
Sure. No? Away fans aren't allowed to travel to the first 2 away matches.
I think my way was better.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, this is pretty insane. The reason was, I don't know if you guys read into this at all, but they stormed the pitch after they won their second leg. I already forget who they played. I want to say it was Olympiacos, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
RB Salzburg.
Salzburg. It was Salzburg. You're right. Definitely right. Benfica played Olympiacos. All right, so yeah, they stormed the pitch. They were really excited. They were down 2-0 at halftime. They came back. They won on away goals. It was 2-2 in that second leg. So the fans lost their minds. They've been known to have issues in the past. I'll go to you, Dave. What are your thoughts on this?
What are my thoughts on this? I mean, it's
like the ban, and like, do you think it's right? Do you think the length is right? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair. I don't know why they're banned from away matches, because was the match away?
Yeah.
Was it okay?
Yeah,
so it was
yeah.
at Salzburg when they invaded the pitch.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
that makes more sense. So yeah, I mean, this seems like an appropriate ban. 2 matches is a decent amount because you only have 3 away matches in the Champions League group stage. It's a pretty decent punishment, and it's the 2 biggest teams, I'd argue, in that group. I know Napoli is a big team in that group as well, but it's a fair punishment in my opinion.
All right, Drew, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think it's as fair enough as it can get. I mean, you're away and you decide to just completely destroy and trash the pitch for another team. I can see why they would make them have to at least pay for that, because I was reading that too, that they're going to have to pay for any damages. And I mean, setting off fireworks, you can do that anyway, but just use some flares, whatever, just have some fun. But I mean, I can understand that. To ban them, yes and no. I can see why. I maybe just would have restricted the amount of fans that could maybe go instead of completely removing them, because I mean, it is important for any team to have some of their fan base there. I can also understand UEFA just kind of coming down hard on that, because it is a bit unfair to Salzburg to have their pitch destroyed and everything else. But it's an in-between thing. I might as well just say that it was a bad decision on their part and leave it at that.
Yeah, I think that UEFA is just trying to say, no, we don't want anybody to do that again, so we're giving them this so that other teams will be deterred from doing that in the future again. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what you guys are saying. You can't have fans just kind of running on the pitch after they win, especially away fixtures. The consequences make sense to me. It's just unfortunate because they're probably by far the least likely team to make it out of this group, and then that's just another hit that you can't have traveling fans. So just kind of unfortunate for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of them probably were looking forward to going to these historic stadiums where they get to play against big teams, and now they won't have that opportunity unless they pay premium amounts to sit with the home fans, which they probably aren't going to want to do. Specifically, I could think of Anfield. You definitely don't want to do that. Yeah, Dave will be at Anfield, next week?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. PSG versus Liverpool. I will be in the stands, and I am so freaking pumped.
Let's go, Neymar.
Yeah, I think that this is probably justice. I think that 2-match ban is correct, like you guys said. I don't think all 3 matches were necessary. I think they were talking about that they were going to have to play 2 of their first home games with no fans in the stadium, and that would have just been really uncomfortable and weird. I've seen that happen, I think, once or twice before, and it's really, really uncomfortable how quiet it is. But you get to hear how the players really play, and you get to hear them, which is kind of a different thing. Sorry, what were you saying, Drew?
Didn't they have that for one of the games last year or 2 years ago? It wasn't due to fan issues, it was due to some other outside circumstance. Didn't they play a UEFA Champions League game?
I think
that was a City game.
Was that
actually?
It was a City game. I just can't remember who they were playing.
I knew it was a game.
I think it was a Russian team, and the Russian stadium was
either Russian
in a war zone, or it's not, or Ukrainian. It was in a war zone, and they had to move it.
Yeah.
So that would be Shakhtar. Was it Shakhtar? Because Shakhtar's been playing. Right. Yeah, their home matches 700 miles from Donetsk.
Yeah, it might have been.
I think it definitely wasn't. I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah, it's just really weird, and I'm glad that they're not doing that. But I guess the away fan punishment is enough, and I think they also got like some $20,000 or $30,000 fine, which is like nothing to a team in the Champions League. But still, it is substantial, and it's proving a point. Don't do this again. Anybody else have anything to add on this topic?
So does like the club pay that fine, or like, how do they
Yes.
come up with that money?
No,
Like,
the fans have to pay for it.
Well, I didn't know if like the owner. Like,
They have
like,
jar at their next home game, and they're like, "Please put the donation."
Well, they'll probably make it on the fans anyway by upping the price of tickets. So
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like maybe like surge the ticket price or something.
I doubt they will. I think that the club will take it, but that is a good business plan, Matt. Maybe you should write that down. Send it to them. Yeah. Anybody else?
Nope.
Nah.
Good to go. All right. So that wraps up Christian's Corner. Thanks for stopping by. Dave will take us away, I think, in the next section, or will it be? Oh, nope. Drew's going to take us away in our next section. So hang on tight. Listen to some music. We'll be right back for you.
Awesome stuff. We are right on time. We are flowing through this. This is going well. Let me give a quick plug for our other partner, FNX Network, and then we'll talk for a sec. What's up, everyone? Dave here again. Wanted to give a quick plug for another partner, FNX.network. It is a website that has stories and podcasts and blog posts, all different kinds of info about a variety of topics: sports, entertainment, video games, lifestyle, tech, and more. You want to go check out FNX.network to see some of our stuff, as well as a ton of other awesome content. Again, go check it out on FNX.network. All right, cool. I'm getting better with the partner plugs here. I'm feeling good. I'm just running into it.
It's just
we're just flowing here today, guys. This is good. Drew,
Except when you left the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I'm happy that the broadcast continued. I was really worried.
I said the same thing. It said live at the top, and I was like, I don't know if we actually are, because he's the leader.
Thank you for acknowledging that. Yeah, yes, it is my podcast. So thank you all for being here. Drew, are you good to welcome us back from the break, or do you need me to, welcome back and then kick it over to you?
That's completely up to you. You can flow with it as you want, and I'll fly with it. So if you want me to do it, I'll do it.
You can do it. All right. So I'll click this on, and then we're good to go. All right, we're good.
All right, hey everybody, this is Drew's Den. Figured that one out on the top, actually, because I'm in a den too, so it works.
Nice.
So my first topic is going to be on the U.S. men's national team and GM Ernie Stewart and his search for a coach. So he's been in the position for a month now, and the goal at this point, from what he was saying earlier this week, before the friendly and everything else, was that he was looking to get this head coaching spot by the end of the year. Stating that he hasn't really interviewed anyone. There's been informal discussions, but he hit on a couple key points that a lot of people have been waiting to find out more about, and that it was that they established a profile. And in particular, he kind of noted on being an aggressive coach, more of like an in-your-face, kind of the American way, the we mentality, so it's not about one individual player, being a people's manager, able to speak English, willing to move into Chicago so that they can have more one-on-one interactions. And then also on top of that weren't necessary, but he also felt was important, was the understanding of the American soccer culture, especially like the MLS, knowledge of the region, and then if they had any international coaching experience as well, that also helped. So in the end, there's a few candidates that I have in mind that maybe tick those boxes, but Christian, what do you think about the search for a coach?
I honestly have no idea who it's going to be. I don't even have any possible ideas of who they could hire. And I just want them to get it done. It just feels like we've been waiting for so long at this point. We just want to know who it is. We want it to start flowing. There's a lot of flowing today.
A lot of flowing.
Yeah. I just want to see what the next stage of U.S. soccer is going to be, because we're kind of in that in-between phase right now where we had the generation who were decent and they're old now, and we have this really, really good young core group coming through that have potential, and we need somebody who's going to take them and make them really great. And I don't know who that's going to be, But I kind of like what you were saying is what the Ernie's looking for. We've seen Ernie bring in some quality players at the Union. Let's see, can he bring in a quality coach? I haven't seen him do that before because Jim's been at the Union forever. So I don't really know what he's going to do. And I hope he's been taking his time. He must be looking for the right person. I just want to see it done. And if it is by the end of 2018, I'm excited because World Cup qualifying does it start next summer or is it before then?
No, next summer's the Gold Cup, so I would assume it starts after that.
Okay.
It starts at like lower levels than the US is involved in.
I think it starts in the spring maybe. Yeah, I think it's when like the lower tier gets going, and then I think the US, it doesn't start until next fall.
For more information on World Cup and qualifying and all of that, check out the Soccer Tavern's World Cup video explained.
Oh.
Go ahead, Christian. Thank you. Go ahead, Christian.
I just hope we get somebody who's a little bit more attack-minded. I liked how Klinsmann actually coached to the team. He kind of overstayed his welcome in the end, but I want somebody who brings something similar to that style.
Yeah, I agree. Dave, your thoughts?
Yeah, so for me, first off, Ernie is notoriously very tight-lipped with the media, and so we experienced it with the Philadelphia Union. We would hear absolutely nothing, and then a player would be signed. So for him to say that like he hasn't talked to anybody or interviewed or whatever, I wouldn't necessarily 100% believe him. I do like that he's established the criteria that they're looking for in a manager, and pretty much all of those I'm in agreement with. As far as people that I'd like to see, I mean, the name that seems to fit all of the check marks in the criteria seems to be Greg Berhalter. Yes, he doesn't have international experience at the like international managing level, but he's played at 2 World Cups. He's managed overseas. He's managed in MLS. His brother is high up in the U.S. soccer kind of administrative world, and I think he just makes the most sense out of everybody. So I'd be excited about him. You know, is he the 100% ideal manager? I mean, I don't know, but I would be excited about seeing him appointed.
Yeah, and a quick note on that too. His brother is actually not involved in the process as well, so keep that in mind as he's probably one of those people that they're looking into. But Matt, what's your take?
So yeah, like you guys, I just want it to be done, the signing. But I saw Eric Ronaldo tweet sometime this week. He said they're down to their final 3, like the final 3 coaches, and all 3 are Dutch. So that just took me off guard that they're only looking at, you know, foreign coaches at this point. You know, especially with the last, you know, Klinsmann and how that ended and how people really wanted a domestic coach. But I'm trying to think like De Boer is the only one that's like available, because I know Van Gaal retired.
Peter Bosch is the other one. Peter Bosch.
He was Dortmund's coach, right?
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, I would be interested with that. But I mean, like De Boer, you know, somebody who played at that level, but then, you know, what happened with Palace, you know, it's tough to, you know, trust him with my national team, considering what happened last time.
He had a good start, though,
even
last
Van
year.
Gaal, if they can get him out of retirement, like, that would be a huge personality. Like, that's a, you know, somebody that's performed at, you know, and coach at the highest level. So
Van Gaal is not what we want.
I would not be excited with Gaal. I think he has experience, but I think he's past his prime.
He has experience. It's not even that he's past his prime. It's the way that he manages. He is too involved in too many rules and is crazy.
Yeah, like I heard one story where I think it was Rooney was talking about how they weren't allowed to shoot first time in the box for Manchester United. They always had to take 2 touches before, like a touch, and then they were allowed to shoot. So stories like that is just like insane to me in modern game.
He took Netherlands to the final, right?
The final
8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, styles change quite often. I mean, look at Mourinho.
Yeah.
Drew, what are your thoughts here?
I mean, personally, I agree with you. I think Greg Berhalter ticks all the boxes. I mean, being a Columbus Crew fan, hashtag save the crew, tactical system, it's very much team-based. Like, you even hear him in discussion with people. I mean, he's blunt and honest about saying, like, I don't care if I had Neymar on my squad. Basically, is what he's saying is, I'm going to play it as a team, and we're going to press the ball forward. You know, we're going to have flying fullbacks going forward. He's also played internationally for the U.S. He kind of ticks all those boxes. It's just the hard part would be then the Columbus Crew piece.
Absolutely. We do have a question from Will here. Do any of you think Dave Sarakin deserves to be considered for the USMNT job based off of his time in charge? So, Drew, thoughts there?
Yeah, I would say some people feel like there's a reason why they're holding off for it, that maybe then people get over this whole part that he was involved with Bruce Arena, and that maybe if we keep the time frame pushed further back, that people just become accepting of it as long as he can pull out good results. I just think it's a new regime. I think it just needs to be transferred over. I think it just needs to be reworked and built into someone else. And I think it needs to probably come from the MLS. I think that would be a good start. I know it might not be the best option, and it'll probably be a little rocky to start, but I think it needs to come back to the American side of things. I think they just need to build from within and start I mean, you could use the hashtag player kids. You could say hashtag player U.S. men's national team players and make it work. So, I mean, Sarakin could work. I mean, he definitely wants to build the youth. He's been around all of them. But, I mean, any other guys got thoughts on that?
Matt?
So, it's tough because I think that, we should be going through a time where it's like a slow build, and I agree with you where U.S. soccer needs to kind of find its identity before moving forward. But at the same time, at the professional level, you don't get time, and you're expected to have results immediately. And as a coach, it's just going to be tough and as an American fan, it's going to be tough to kind of go through that period of change, and maybe not performing the best we can, where we can find maybe a higher level coach to put the pressure on more, maybe.
Oh, wait,
but I think he does deserve a shot. Yeah. What are you gonna say?
I was confused as to if you were answering the question or not. So from Dave Sarakin, you think he does deserve a shot?
I think he does deserve, a look, not a shot. But I think he has had his shot, and maybe if he, maybe if he won the Brazil game and looked a little bit better. But he got the draw against France right before the World Cup. And there hasn't been too big of stories coming out, so that's probably good.
Well, the reason there's no stories is because he's not the full-time coach.
Christian, your thoughts here?
Well, no stories with player issues or that's what I'm talking about.
But I think it's probably because people don't care. They're like, oh, he's only here for a short time. I don't think that he is causing issues either, but I think that they're not going to read much into it anyway. I don't think that he deserves a shot. I think he'll be considered, but I don't think that he'll get it.
Right.
So, yeah, real quick. Just my thoughts real quick. I think he deserves a shot. Basically he has performed as well as he could given the situation he's been put in as an interim manager. He's integrated all kinds of new players. He said the right things and all of that. He probably deserves a shot, but given the circumstances and everything like that, I don't think he should be given the role. He's done fantastic, and if situations were different, maybe he would be given the full-time position, but I think we need to do a clean cut and go with a different manager. So Drew, back to you for your last topic here.
Thank you, Dave. And so the last topic that I have here is more recent, as the other one is Denmark's FA and the Danish Players Association. In case you missed it this week, Denmark fielded against Slovakia some futsal players and some domestic players because the likes of Christian Eriksen and Kasper Schmeichel and the rest of the main team decided that they had enough of trying to reach an agreement. Essentially what happened was there was supposed to be a new commercial rights agreement filed by the end of Sunday of last week. It didn't come through, so the players tried to renegotiate by just trying to extend it a week to get through the games, and it didn't work out. And so basically they just fielded a bunch of random players, sold the tickets at $1 a piece just to fill the stadium, because if Denmark didn't resolve the issue, they could have been banned from Euro 2020 due to their issues with their women's team last year. So Matt, my question to you would be is, why do you think Denmark is just kind of sputtering through this to try and resolve this rather than making it work? Now, granted, today they did field the full team, but I think there was probably circumstances behind that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was, people, arguing over money and, being fairly treated within the FA. I think, for the players, I don't know what exactly they were protesting. Do you know anybody?
Yeah, they were. It was more so just the fact that the commercial rights agreement fell through, so they just didn't have the ability to get the rights for. I think it was more like maybe like the jersey sales or things like that, just things that impacted them directly. And so they just kind of felt hard done by it, and so they were kind of just boycotting until they figured it out. I mean, they tried to resolve it, but it just kept falling through. So
Yeah, I mean, from like our perspective, like we think like the professional athletes should always be there, and we always, you'll see like NFL players like holding out or something like that, and you'll say, well, why are they holding out? But it's probably for their best interest.
Bell.
Yeah, that's upsetting. But so like I understand from that perspective that they want to hold out. So I think they probably did make the right action, and now they feel their whole team. I think today you said so. I mean, it worked out. I think putting the pressure on the FA kind of works when you're a player. So
yeah, it sounds like they resolved it, but I'm not entirely sure that's the case. I think maybe they just kind of feel the squad just to get them out there. They did actually end up beating Wales 2-0, but I'm impressed by that. But Christian, your thoughts?
I'm a big proponent on players are paid enough anyway. Just fucking play. Like it drives me crazy. I don't like it. I think it's kind of cool that they brought in futsal players and non-professionals to play in the game, but I don't understand why their stars can't just be there. They can figure out other stuff later. I hate it. They're gonna make enough money as is. Just do it. Just play the game. You're playing for your national team. It's a whole different thing. Your club team is paying you a lot of money. You're getting notoriety that way. You're playing for your national team. It's different.
I don't think.
And I am completely 100% the opposite of Christian. I commend the players for sticking up for their rights. There's so much pressure put on players, and owners and management gets this pass because they're not the ones out there on the field. And so, players are made to look like villains by not going through, even though they're entitled to that compensation and all of that. And so I like the players holding out here and sticking by it and forcing, whether it's the administration or management or whoever they were negotiating with, to buckle or come to some sort of agreement. And so I like that the players did this. I don't think it was necessarily just them being overly greedy. They didn't have a commercial rights deal, and so the FA was going to not exploit them, but were going to make money without them being compensated. And I don't think that's necessarily right. So that's where I stand on the issue.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Dave. I think that's a very true point. And I mean, I think part of the reason why they're fighting so hard is just because I know that Denmark had their issues with the women's team last year even. So I think the players are just trying to make a hard stance on it and get the resolution that's proper for everyone. I was actually surprised I didn't realize it was that had they not filled the stadium, they could have been banned for Euro 2020, which is quite shocking because I know that the UEFA gets pretty strong on those things. But anyone else have anything they'd like to add?
No, I'm good.
No.
All right. Well, we'll go with another short break here, possibly, and toss it over to Dave.
Yeah. So we'll just toss it over to me. No break.
Right.
We're just gonna roll right
no quick plug. You're right. Here.
No music. No music.
Hashtag save the crew.
There you go.
Save the crew. There's the plug. All right. Over to Dave.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is a big one. Two quick topics. I just wanted to briefly mention, get your guys' quick thoughts on this. Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo, recently bought Rayo Valladolid in La Liga. Christian, quick thoughts on, just former players buying teams or him buying this particular team. Quick.
It's a weird choice for him to buy a team, but it is La Liga, so it is a team and a league that he knows pretty well. I think it's kind of cool when former players buy a team. I think that they know the ins and outs of the actual ground level, what's happening at the club. I don't know how much they know about the actual administrative work that goes into owning a team, but that's why you hire people below you. So I don't really have any issues with it. I think it's kind of cool.
And hopefully it goes a hell of a lot better than Fort Lauderdale Strikers ownership. Matt, any thoughts here?
I like when, former like stars buy a team. I feel like it, gives other people like a reason to go to that team and kind of build them up. Like, like Beckham owning, what's it called? Like
Inter Miami.
Yeah, Inter Miami. Like Griezmann already said like he would go there if Beckham asked him to. And it's like, I think it's just good for the culture, having for that team's culture, having somebody that reputation, and it's just going to be beneficial for him.
Drew, thoughts here?
I just hope that it works out, that he can get the team up to the top where he'd like them to be. I think for a lot of players, I think it would be better if they went into more like general manager positions or something a little bit lower before buying in, so they understand what it takes to own a team. But then again, I mean, Ronaldo probably knows his stuff, so it'll probably work out just fine.
All right, good. I actually kind of like him, if he hires the right people, him to just almost just be more like the marketing stuff that Matt had and attract the players. And if he hires the right staff, which seems like Beckham is kind of doing, he's more just the face and hiring the right people, it could work out there. The other thing I wanted to mention, touched on lower division soccer a little bit through the Fort Lauderdale plug. Las Vegas Lights, we tweeted this from our Bros Talking Soccer Twitter handle. So if you haven't seen it, go to BT Soccer Pod to see it. They had a helicopter hovering over their stadium at either before the match or halftime, and they dropped $5,000 cash out onto the field, and their fans were able to scramble around and pick up that cash. Matt, your thoughts on this promotion?
It's genius. I don't know why every club in the world's not just dropping $5,000 from the sky. All
right, Drew, thoughts?
Just make it rain.
There you go. The most Vegas thing ever. Christian, thoughts?
More money, more money.
Yes. All right, there you have it. Vegas doing Vegas things, so that was awesome to see. Getting to our listener questions now. First one coming from @WorldHotspur, Will, who has been joining us on the broadcast here. Sup, Will? Thank you for being here. Do you see Jack Grealish staying at Villa long term, or will a club like Spurs make another attempt to get him in the January window? Drew, you are a Villa fan, so it's only right that you go first with this question.
Well, to answer Will's question, I have to say that as long as rumors have been spreading at this point that Aston Villa is trying to negotiate a new contract with Grealish, I think if they can renegotiate the contract, I don't have a problem then if he ends up leaving, because it seems like they'll probably end up putting a pretty good sized buyout clause on him to force Premier League teams to have to pay up front to get what they believe his valuation is. I think he might get chased down again in January by Tottenham, but I think as long as we end up seeing that Villa's making progress going forward and that they've expanded far, that they'll end up getting their way. Sorry.
It's okay over there?
It's like, bang, all right, we're good. But no, I think if they can stay high in the league, that they'll do fine. Matt, your thoughts?
I don't have any thoughts on this.
Okay, Christian, your thoughts?
Okay. I saw him play a couple of times. Sorry, I fell over again. I've seen him play a couple of times, and he's a decent player. I don't think that he's like a world-class talent. I think he's a very average English player. I don't know where he's going to go. I know Spurs were really hard pressed to get him, but I still just don't rate him that highly, and I don't think that they will be paying premiums to bring him in. I wouldn't be surprised to see him there at least until next summer.
I'd agree with that. I don't think he'll be there long term. I think he'll move to another team, but I'm with Christian. I don't necessarily see him being top player at a club like Spurs. I mean, mid-level in the Premier League is probably about right for him, and if Villa can get promoted, I think it's possible he could stay there long term. But again, I wouldn't. expecting anyone to stay long term in today's, version of soccer, I think is kind of foolish. Our other question came from at Soccer Noob USA. This was slightly tongue in cheek, but it was a really interesting topic. So he asked, what is the status on the appeal of the Skenderbeu Corsai's 10-year ban? So for anyone who doesn't know this story, because I had no idea about it, I'm going to call it Skenderbeu. I don't know how to pronounce it, but this club from it's Eastern Europe. I don't remember the exact country, but they've basically been fixing matches for years. I think there was upwards of 50 or 60 matches. And the UEFA commission that investigated them didn't have any hard evidence, but they based their suspension off of suspicious betting activity. And they thought that was enough evidence to, get them to fine them for 10 years. I'm sorry, ban them from European competition for 10 years, fine them £1 million. Again, there wasn't any, whether it was eyewitness accounts or any hard evidence. It was just strictly based off of these betting patterns and the analytics from that. Matt, do you have any thoughts on the suspension coming from just that?
Yeah, I think that's, completely unfair to, not have concrete evidence and then already kind of have to serve your punishment. It should at least be, a temporary ban, or maybe like a 1 year for like court, just to figure out more things about it, and like a smaller fine. And then once you have the concrete evidence, then that ban and fine can be implemented. But I don't see how it's possible how they got away with, that big of a punishment.
So you don't consider concrete evidence the suspicious betting activity, where it was like almost down to a science, the exact bet, like for specific scores at specific timing and all of that. So even with that, you don't think that's concrete enough?
No, okay. I don't know the specifics about, how well they were betted, like how specific the bets were. I mean, like, people can figure out like algorithms and stuff like that.
Oh, math.
Yeah.
True.
But this was like, there was 2 minutes left and like a team needed to score 3 goals and then they gave up 3 goals. It was stuff where it's beyond just coincidental. So yeah, that's just kind of Christian thoughts here.
Yeah, I think that is enough evidence. They wouldn't just go off of suspicion. Like, they clearly had algorithms that checked. Like, that is very, very clear. Again, and you might not have hard proof of someone admitting to it, but you still can catch people doing things. And I think that it was fine.
Drew?
Yeah, I would agree with the ban. I think that was as proper as you can get. It was a little too blatant what they were doing. And then to come back and say, well, we did nothing wrong, even though they had already been targeted by the domestic federation for doing it. I think there's probably enough evidence there to knock them down for 10 years.
Absolutely. So this was, Soccer Noob USA. Thank you so much for sending us that. That was a fantastic, interesting topic to kind of read about. So we appreciate all of that. Before we get out of here, wanted to give 2 quick plugs for some of my projects. So I'm the founder of FanFutsal, which is a simplified fantasy soccer website, FanFutsal.com. Drew, you are an expert on some of the things that we're doing on there. Christian is as well. So we are simplifying fantasy soccer, making it easier for you to play fantasy soccer games. We feature the 5 major European leagues as well as the 2 major North American leagues. Again, you select teams instead of players. Our scoring is simplified, and again, it's just an easier, more fun way to play fantasy soccer. In addition to that, I have a YouTube channel called the Soccer Tavern where I'm making videos about the history, culture, and philosophy of the beautiful game. Just released a video about why it's called a derby. So derby matches, if you've ever heard of that, it's like a rivalry match. I give you the background on why it's called a derby. So go check out that video. I have about 65 other videos on there. Video coming soon is Inverness Caledonian. I pronounced that wrong throughout the entire video, so I have to reshoot today or tomorrow, and that'll be coming out within the next week or so. And we have tons of other videos, so please go check out the Soccer Tavern on YouTube. Christian, you want to recap our trivia question, and we will give our guesses?
Dave, I would love to. So welcome back to Christian's Corner for a trivia wrap-up. We just brought it back for a little bit. All right, so 19 passes were made in the build-up to Huesca, I believe is how you pronounce their name, in La Liga against Barcelona. Do you know the last time Barcelona gave up a goal after that many passes?
Are you looking for a day, like year?
No. Just a
Team-
season. Just
Season? Okay.
Yeah.
Are you looking for a team?
No.
Okay.
No.
Matt?
Matt, yeah, you go ahead.
I'm gonna say like, what year is it? Okay, so 18. I'm gonna say the 14-15 season.
Drew?
Okay.
I'm gonna say I'm actually gonna go 2012-13 season.
I'll say
Dave?
in 2011.
The last time they gave up a goal after 19 passes was the 05-06 season.
Wow. Now who
They
is
did
that?
not let the other team keep possession and create goals.
Who was, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't say here. I just have the stat from Jose, actually. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, so there you have it. That's pretty fascinating. So 12, 13 years or so since they gave up a goal with that long passing sequence. So that's absolutely fascinating. Everyone, thank you for being here. Anyone who watched us on YouTube and interacted with us, Will specifically, thank you so much for being here and interacting with us. Anybody else who's tuned in, thank you for being here. Listeners, thank you so much for being here. If you liked what you heard, please consider giving us a review on whatever podcasting platform you listen to us on. That would mean so much to us, and we'd really appreciate it. Also, give us a follow on Twitter at BT Soccer Pod. We're tweeting on there about all things from the soccer world. If you want to email us, our email is bros.talking.soccer@gmail.com. And please make sure to check out our website, brostalkingsoccerpodcast.com. You can read about us, check out past episodes, and visit our store. So if you want to support the show and, you're buying anything on Amazon, go to brostalkingsoccerpodcast.com, click on the store link, and if you click off our Amazon link, it'll take you to Amazon. No additional cost to you. It's just a couple extra steps, and whatever you buy, we get a small percentage of that. And again, it just helps us out immensely, and we'd greatly appreciate that. So with all that being said, Drew, thank you so much for being here. Where can people find you on Twitter?
You can find me on @itsadeal, DEIHL. Yeah, I used my last name for that one. Clever.
Yeah, and we have that linked in the podcast show notes and YouTube podcast description, video description, I should say. So definitely give him a follow. He's a great follow there. Christian, thank you so much for being here.
Dave, it was a pleasure as always. Thank you for allowing me to join your podcast this week.
Always appreciate it. Matt, thanks for being here.
Hey Dave, thanks for having me on your. Thanks for keeping us
involved.
Oh my God, you are just so checked out, not even paying attention. Listeners, thank you.
The games, yeah.
Thank you for being here. We'll talk to you next week. See you, everybody. All right, people who are watching on YouTube.
I was trying to pull the football games off.
The last 5 minutes, you have just been so checked out.
Yeah, I thought you were just ending it.
Okay.
He always says goodbye to you, at least.
You did.
Okay. All right, people on YouTube, thanks for being here. We appreciate you tuning in, and we will talk to you next week. We're going to be live in person. We'll probably record next Sunday
Saturday,
morning.
Right? I
think Sunday morning. Hopefully, if I can get to Philly. I mean, apparently there's some sort of storm, but whatever.
Philly.
All right.